So can we wait for another 2-3 minutes to join other students also?
Yes.
So let's start our class for today. So let me introduce myself first. I am Dr. Devanjan Acharya. I am a faculty of Indian Institute of Information Technology, Ranchi, and I am associated with the Electronics and Communication Engineering Department. I am going to teach you this module, which includes Introduction to Cloud Computing, Cloud Computing Architecture and Sensor Cloud, then the basics of networking like communication protocols, sensor networks, machine-to-machine communications. Then we will learn the introduction to Arduino and Raspberry Pi, and how these microcontrollers can be implemented in IoT. Rather, you can say IIoT, that is Industrial IoT. Next, we will learn the cyber security in Industry 4.2, and we will also see some industrial IoT, like different case studies on different industries. Before going to the detail of all these things, that is, for example, today we are going to learn about the introduction to the cloud computing and cloud computing architecture. And if time permits, we will also learn the sensor cloud. So before going to learn all these things, we have to know why we are going to learn this. What is the need of it? How that can be beneficial for us as an industry-oriented person as an engineer. So to learn that, I want to show some video with you. These videos are very interacting, and that is kind of very easy to understand the thing, why these things are required for modern day industries. So let's start with that videos first.
Automation and internet cloud computing are evolving and merging into a space allowing for artificial intelligence or AI programming to facilitate improvements in productivity and efficiency with many economic benefits. Along with internet cloud computing and other advancements with the internet, we are now in the middle of the next industrial revolution, mining and turning data into information. This period of evolution is called Industry 4.0, or the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which includes Industrial Internet of Things, IIoT, and digital transformation mechanisms that facilitate this evolved fourth-generation period of automation. In this lesson, we will learn about what is the Industrial Internet of Things, or IIoT. While the Industrial Internet of Things does fall under the Internet of Things, or IoT, area of influence, the key difference is IIoT concentrates on the connections of machines and devices in industries like manufacturing, healthcare, and logistics. IoT is commonly used to define consumer-based devices like Fitbits, and a wide range of smart home devices, for example refrigerators, Ring video doorbells, lighting, thermostats, and alarm systems. IIoT is about getting information that every single consumer needs in their hands when they want it. And digital transformation is the digitization of a business and how we must move to a unified, organized data space using the International Society of Automation standard for developing an automated interface between enterprise and control systems, or ISA 95. ISA 95 essentially provides a hierarchical model for the enterprise, site, area, line, and cell. Each level of this architecture uses a specific software system to gather data for that part of the organization needs, in which creates a problem for communication between these disparate applications. With most organizations, the data is not real-time and lacks efficiency, inhibiting key stakeholders to make informed decisions. IIoT is about making decisions from information received real-time, and not from a report created from yesterday's data. The industrial Internet of Things is all about interconnected instruments, sensors, and many other devices that are networked together and communicating with computer-driven industrial applications for many manufacturing and energy management areas of business. IIoT is an evolution of a control system that allows for a significant improvement in automation by using cloud computing to enhance and optimize process controls. Industrial IoT depends on many technologies, but the key technologies primarily consist of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cloud computing, edge computing, and data mining. Artificial intelligence, or AI, and machine learning, or ML, are fields that are part of computer science. AI is where intelligent machines are developed and respond like humans. And ML is where machine learning is part of AI predicting and a more accurate outcome delivered without programming. Cybersecurity technology becomes an important basic platform for IoT and IIoT, enabling disconnected machines to physically connect and communicate in a secure method. Cloud computing is basically using IT services and the files to be uploaded and downloaded from internet-based servers, opposed to using local extranet-connected servers. Edge computing is a distributed computing model, bringing data storage closer to the location where it is needed and optimizes sensors, industrial computers, and devices that are part of the IIoT system for publishing and consuming data for faster processing. Data mining and analytics are about collating and examining large amounts of data stored from various parts of the enterprise. Okay, so why should we go through this somewhat major transformation, and what are the benefits? Companies want to be more competitive, increase efficiency with just-in-time manufacturing and meeting higher customer demand with better inventory control. We can do all of this with the creation of the organization's overall automation, a digital twin. A digital twin is a virtual representation referring to a digital replication of the actual company's physical assets, processes in place, automation systems, and devices. The twin uses real-time data to enable learning and reasoning for improved decision-making. The digital twin allows experimentation with new information that is generated by cloud-based AI functions without having to shut down production or be concerned with personal safety because testing is performed in a virtual space. Also, the digital twin could be used as a training ground for new employees without impacting the live system. And when comparing IIoT and IoT failures, IIoT create much higher risks than IoT. Life-threatening situations or major financial losses could happen from an actual system failure or downtime, for example. While we may benefit from a long list of benefits through the IIoT transformation, there are some concerns and risks we should be aware of. Some of the potential risks of adopting IIoT are expense of the cost of data integration, lack of experience, and difficulty of implementation, and the devastating cyber threats. Data integration is one of the biggest obstacles to IIoT implementation. You could be looking at building a system with thousands of existing connected sensors and devices, adding new equipment and software systems, and interfacing legacy equipment to communicate using standard IIoT protocols. There is a high cost of integration preparing for IIoT, requiring new software, hardware, and equipment. You will need to consider the costs of associated training your existing workforce and hiring new staff, and the time needed to get workers productive. and the lack of expertise with integrating IIoT requiring automation companies to be fully experienced with an organization's layers of systems, starting with the plant floor transmitters, process PLCs, operation HMI, and SCADA, reporting based on database administration, manufacturing execution systems or MES for warehouse control, and enterprise resource planning or ERP or accounting systems. Now, integrators are required to have expertise in machine learning, data science, and real-time analytics. In the long term, IIoT could more than pay for itself, but many organizations are still justifiably concerned about investing so much in IIoT. On the bright side, the benefits of IIoT in manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, mining, oil and gas, and retail are gaining ground, and many companies are embracing this new paradigm for solutions in optimizing operations and personnel productivity. Many manufacturers have already achieved process performance and have reductions in downtime. And while manufacturing is certainly leading the way with IIoT adoption, other industries are becoming open to the idea of embracing IIoT, for example.
So I think that that was a very nice video. So in consequence with this video, I want also to show you some real life example, that is typical industry related example why we need a IoT.
This is Jim. He is a manufacturer and owns a manufacturing plant. His plant has many things at one place, such as a supply chain and chain in the back office. All these things generate lots and lots of data, like transactional data, ERP data, CRM data, and public data. These are all the things together which empower and enable his employees to connect with customers and business partners. Now, even though Jim's factory looks well equipped, he still faces several challenges. During the production process, machines stop working frequently without any notice. Or sometimes the control system gets many errors at the time of product manufacturing. Even when Jim gets a lot of data, he cannot use it to predict the outcomes he wants. So, what could be the solution for Jim's problems? SoftWeb's IoT solutions are the best option for Jim to overcome these challenges. Whether it's a machine failure, problems in control systems, or getting accurate results from the data. Let's see how these IoT solutions can help Jim and his team. The Internet of Things, IoT, starts with the things installed in the manufacturing plant, the things that matter most to his business. The first step is adding sensors throughout the factory. In this production unit, IoT systems can help in monitoring production flow in real time to eliminate waste and unnecessary work in inventory production with the help of the sensors installed in the conveyor belt. All the data gathered by the sensors is sent to the cloud for analysis and creating predictive models. Not only this, but it will help engineers in implementing condition-based maintenance alerts to eliminate machine downtime and increase output by predicting machine failure. IoT can also help management to manage machines remotely, knowing temperature limits and other settings to save energy and reduce costs. With the collected data from sensors, operations managers can see their production line status and recommend adjustments to manage operational costs using data visualization tools. The R&D department can get insights from the usage patterns of multiple clients and track their equipment failure, enabling Jim's company to re-engineer products for better performance. On the other side, his field service management can identify R&D department can get insights from the usage patterns of multiple clients and track their equipment failure, enabling Jim's company to re-engineer products for better performance. On the other side, his field service management can identify when to deploy the right resources for predictive maintenance to minimize equipment failures and reduce service costs. With all these solutions, Jim can now tap into data with IoT dashboards and uncover actionable intelligence. He can also modernize how he does his business. IoT is a combination of sensors, cloud infrastructure, data analytics, and visualizations that helps you create a smart manufacturing unit. To know more about how we can help your business take advantage of the Internet of Things, contact us.
So let's start I think all of you learned why we require the industrial automation. nowadays. So let's start about the thing that is cloud computing in more detail. Okay, so in today's class we will learn the introduction to cloud computing and cloud computing architecture. So let's dive into the topics where okay. So here you can see that now these are the thing I am going to explain here. And that is why the cloud computing is required. We are going to discuss here why cloud computing is required, and to begin with, what is cloud computing and what are the different types of cloud computing available at the moment. And we also going to talk about a dominant cloud service providers available in the market. And we'll touch a few topics or scenarios on the life cycles of the cloud computing and also the cloud computing architecture. And then I'll show you some examples using the AWS, that is a cloud computing service provider by Amazon, and we'll see some example how to use the cloud computing using AWS. So let's understand about why the cloud computing was needed and what is the problem that we had in our on-premises, and how that cloud computing solved, and therefore it took all over the market, that is the automation market nowadays. Let's understand first that will can we solve the different unanswered questions or the difficulties by using the cloud computing service. Okay, to understand it better way, so I have an example over here. So we have a owner of a business and he wants to set up a cloud, in IT infrastructure to automate his industry. Now he called Paul, who is a employer of his company, and this Paul is a IT educated person in his company. So he consulted him about how to go about setting up a IT infrastructure to automate the industry. Now, Paul is a kind of guy who keeps himself updated about what is happening in the IT industry, and he frequently goes through learning about the recent technology. So Paul suggested, why not set up the environment in the cloud? But this his manager is actually not sure about what is cloud and what are more than trying to understand that what is that cloud. He is curious about that benefit of the cloud. So Paul started to explain the very same thing I am going to explain to you now. Let's start with the expenditure or the billing model, because in our India especially, obviously all over the world, that is all the new technology and all the new thing comes with the cost. So is it costlier for you or cheaper for you? Then we'll go for the benefit. So that's why I'm coming to the direct thing, that is the directly come to the billing model. So in billing model for the cloud, you will see pay as you go type. It means we use less and pay less, and we use more, we pay less, because of we are paying the amount which is less per unit. Okay. On the other hand, in on-premises, you will see this on-premises and this is for the cloud. We will learn a comparison, then it will be easier for you to understand why the cloud computing is required for industry. So in on-premises, we can't expect this kind of pay as you go, because you have to pay everything upfront, and there is an additional operating cost which is involved also. And come to the, also it never let us to dramatically scale in on-premises, because it takes lot of space required for sitting the servers, internal facilities, and many more. But in the cloud, not such space requirement is needed for the organization. For the company, whatever you can take. In on-premises, we also need a dedicated team and that can manage the hardware and the software. But in the cloud, no such dedicated team is needed. For most of the service, if we go for the different service, that is this service all are managed by the service provider. Like for example, as I told you, the AWS, Amazon. And even if we need to manage them, the provider gives us options to manage them through the console, which is lot simpler than the managing directly from the device, that is in case of for the on-premises. In on-premises, we need to admit the fact that the security is very poor, because due to the cost involved in procuring the hardware and the software to provide the security, because you need to procure firewalls, you need to procure servers to maintain the enterprise level security or the advanced security. But in the cloud, the security standards are very high. It is a kind of enterprise standard security. And sometimes you will find the quantum cryptographic security also used by the modern day cloud service provider. So these security are easily available in the this kind of high level security can easily available with the cloud computing. So your data is more secure and it meet all the compliances in the traditional data computing. Now come to the data recovery part. So there will be generally less focus on the data recovery when it comes to on premises, because due to cost involved, and the effort involved in replicating data is very high. Even if we set up a high performing data replication, a lot more can be done in the on premises environment, because I need to restructure the thing to secure our data. Sorry, to recover our data or to store our data. So in case of disaster recovery, on premises is very prone to susceptible to loss of the data. But you can easily recover your data if you are using the cloud computing. Now, if I need to restructure the IT infrastructure for new age business needs, then on premises is not so friendly, because they are involving different hardware that are actually support some specific softwares. But in case of cloud, I can easily migrate to new environment and tear down the old environment in few button clicks. For example, if you go for I will take the an example. If you look at that, then the frequency of the releases of this newsletter for the different scheduling updates would be a full-time job. But with the cloud, the updates happen automatically. Now come to the collaboration part. If I am working with a team that is spread across the globe and working them in unison, sharing the data with them is very tedious. But with the cloud, there are a lot of tools and technologies put together that make it easy to share the data with other members in the team. Even they are present at the different location of the world. If they are a valid user, they can take the access of the cloud computing from anywhere in the globe. But in the on-premises, that is very difficult to access the data. Now in the cloud computing is the if we so these things at the cloud computing will give you this kind of benefits. So you can easily understand the advantage or the benefit of the cloud computing than the on-premises. So now be specific about the cloud computing. What is cloud computing? The cloud computing is the ability to deliver on-demand computing services over the internet, and that too on a pay-as-you-go basis. You might think, what does that mean? So let me explain more clearly now. That is kind of thing. The cloud is, rather than managing files on local storage device, cloud computing makes it possible to save them over the internet and access them from the internet. So I can be a mobile person. I'm moving on the from place to place, but I can access the storage from the internet because it's in the internet. And if I want to give access to somebody else, again, it's easy for me to give the access to them as long as they have the internet connection available with them. Let's move to the further and talk about the different types of cloud computing. We can categorize the different types of cloud computing based on two categories. First one is the development model and second one is the service model. In the development model, you will find three types. types. These are public cloud, hybrid cloud, and private cloud. It would be easy for me to explain, and also it will be easy for you to understand if I walk you through this example. I have an example with me, that is, consider the different types of vehicles we use to communicate from one place to the another. For example, if I want to travel, I can pick bus, which is accessible to anyone. I get in and I pay for the seat and I reserved it and I pay for the time that I will be traveling in it, and I am done. So the cost is very less, and here the similar things happen in public cloud. I pay only for the resources that I use and pay for how long I use it. If I use less, I pay less. If I use more, I pay more. Very simple. So that is kind of public cloud. Now coming to the private cloud, this private cloud is like buying your own car and using it for communicating purpose. Here I pay a huge amount upfront and it is owned only by me. So therefore the cost is very high. And thirdly, the hybrid cloud, on the other hand, is the hybrid of both type of this public cloud and private cloud. So example is something like the sharing a car with Ola or Uber. So here we are taking the benefits of both types, like the comfort of the own car, and still don't want to pay all upfront, otherwise want to pay for time that I use the service, and that is I can rent a car. Similarly, I can have it in our hybrid environment, meaning if I already have the code, I can integrate it with the sharing cloud, and uh, and we can share it with the public. That would become a hybrid environment. So I think that is a kind of good learning what with the different type of cloud. So let's take more detail about this type of clouds. So public cloud is a cloud infrastructure that's made available to general public over the internet, and it's owned by the service provider or the cloud provider. Some of the major players as a cloud provider are AWS, Microsoft Azure, and IBM. This cloud infrastructure is exclusively operated by a single organization. It can be managed by the organization or third party and may exist on the premises or off premises, doesn't matter. So on the other hand, if you go for the hybrid cloud, private cloud, so this cloud infrastructure, for the hybrid cloud, it consists functionalities of both private cloud and the private cloud. For example, federal agencies opt for private cloud, or different government agencies opt for private clouds when sensitive information is involved. Also, they use the public cloud to share data sets with general public or other government departments. Let us talk about the different clouds based on the service model. So if I need to categorize this service model broadly, there are three types. These are IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. IaaS stands for Infrastructure as a Service, PaaS stands for platform as a service. SaaS stands for software as a service. Let's understand this thing in detail. So you may ask me which cloud service is suitable for you. So let's understand the thing, and then it will be clear for you which will be the best compatible cloud service or cloud service model that will be suitable for you. So in case of IaaS, if your business needs a virtual machine, opt for infrastructure as a service. On the other hand, if your company requires a platform for building software products, pick platform as a service. But if your business doesn't want to maintain any IT equipment, then choose software as a service. In IaaS, I will give you examples, but before going to that, just learn the theoretical thing about these different types of clouds. In IaaS, this is a cloud service that provide basic computing infrastructure. Obviously, that is also with pay for what you use model. So most of the well-known IaaS service provider are the Amazon Web Service, Microsoft Azure, and Google Compute Engine. And this infrastructure, you know, this is the kind of infrastructure as a service, and that is provided by, that is most of the users are the IT administrator. It will provide you the infrastructure, for example, server or some critical, I mean, like, you know, I am also providing the quantum computing. So these are the kind of server you can access by using IaaS model. Now the next thing, that is the PaaS, platform as a service. That is the platform. Platform means you want to develop something that is a kind of a runtime. You want a runtime environment for developing, testing, and managing applications. You want to develop your own app, so you can go for the PaaS. So you can easily understand that the most of the users are the software developers. Now the last one, there's a very simple one, that is the software as a service. So you start with an example, that is Gmail, that is Excel, Microsoft Word. This is the ready to use app. That means you have a software, you just have a username and password, and you can use it. So you don't bother about what is happening at the back end, what are the things, what are going on at the back end. So the most users are the end customers. So here is the difference between the on-premises and the different cloud service platforms. So here you can see that in on-premises, you have to manage all these things, from the applications to the networkings, data, servers, storage, all these things you have to manage. But if you move towards right, that means towards SaaS, the managed by you is peculiarly less, and it is reduced. I mean, it is nil for the SaaS. In SaaS, all the things managed by the vendor. Now, to learn or to understand more details about the difference between IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, that is, let's take an example that you want to bake a cake for your girlfriend or wife. So what are the different things you can use? What are the different procedure to make a or to bake a cake? So let's start with that. The first thing is something like that, is this. So in on premises, mode, what you have to do? You have to buy all the ingredients. You have to bake the cake, and for that you have an oven in your home, and you have to serve it in the dining table with water. So all these things is maintained by you. So you have to cultivate flour, you have to cultivate sugar, butter, and everything. In, on the other hand, in case of IaaS, what you have to do, you have to bought the flour, sugar, and the butter, and also the egg from the market, and you have the cake pan, oven, electricity in your home. So bought the ingredients from the market and make it in your home and serve it at the dining table. Now in come to the PaaS, what you have, this is something looks like you are ordering some cake. That is, you take a phone, just call to the Swiggy or Zomato, and your cake will be delivered. So what you have to do, you only have to manage the dining table and you have to serve it the cake with the water. This is serving portion, but you don't have to bake the cake, or don't need to buy the ingredients for the cake. Now if I come to the SaaS, that is software as a service, there this example is the dining out. So if you go for a dine out, so don't do anything. You don't have any responsibility for buying anything, for making anything, or serving anything. So all these things can be maintained or responsible for it by the restaurant. So you just have to go to there and you can easily present the cake to your girlfriend or the wife. Okay, that is the SaaS, software as a service. You don't do anything. You don't have to do anything. You just go to the for a dine out, and you can present the cake to your girlfriend or wife. Now come to the cloud service provider. So let's talk about different cloud service provider like Amazon Web Service, AWS. So it's a cloud computing service provided by the Amazon. It provides mix of infrastructure as a service. All these things I have told about, this IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, all these things can be provided by the Amazon AWS. Next one is the Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Azure is formerly known as the Windows Azure, is also cloud community service by the Microsoft, and it sort of specializes in using cloud for building, testing, deploying, and managing the application through the service throughout the global network that Microsoft manages. It also provides software as a service platform, infrastructure as a service platform, and it supports lots of different programming languages and tools and frameworks, including both Microsoft and the third-party software and systems. Coming to the IBM Cloud, IBM Cloud is a cloud computing service offered by the IBM. Now the difference is here, it offers to public cloud and the hybrid cloud models. Now VMware, the VMware on the other hand is subsidiary of Dell Technologies and provides cloud computing and platform visualization software and services. It was the first commercially successful company to visualize x86 architecture. Now come to the Google Cloud Platform offered by the Google. It suites of cloud computing services that run on the same infrastructure that Google uses internally for its end user products, such as Google search engine, YouTube. We all are familiar with alongside. And a set of managed tools, it also provides cloud computing, includes service data storage, data analytics, and machine learning services. Now DigitalOcean, on the other hand, provides developer different cloud service that help to deploy and scale application that run simultaneously on multiple computers. So DigitalOcean is third largest hosting company in the world in terms of web-facing computers. Let's talk about the one cloud computing service, for example, AWS Amazon Web Service. AWS is a very popular and well-known cloud computing service provided by the Amazon, and these services are accessible over the internet. Let's talk about the life cycle of the cloud computing solution. And the very first thing in the life cycle of the solution or the cloud solution is to get a proper understanding of the requirement. I didn't say get the requirement, but said get a proper understanding of the requirement. It is very vital because only then you will be able to properly pick the right service offered by the provider. So a sound understanding, the next thing would be define the hardware. So there are different types of service and hardwares for different needs. You might have like EC2 if you are looking for IaaS, and Lambda if you are looking for serverless computing, and ECS, that is Elastic Container Service, that provides the rest container rest service for the storage. So there are lots of hardware is available. Pick the right hardware that suits your requirement. I am giving you the example. This is typically for the AWS. So if you go for the more or less all the cloud computing service provider, the architectures are same. If you know the cloud computing architecture in very detail, so you can easily understand the other also. So I am giving you an example for the AWS. Now coming to the storage part, the defining of a storage is very important because that can back up your data, that can store your data, and that can archive your data. So we can back up your data by using the EFS. You can store your data by using S3, and you can archive your data by using Glacier. So this is very tiny difference are there, but you have to understand the thing before use it. Now the fourth thing, that is define the network. Define a network that securely delivers data, video, application, etc. with low latency and high transfer speed. Once again, there are different types of networks you have. That is, for example, VPC for network, simple network route. For DNS, you can choose route R3, route S3, and private P2P line from your office to AWS data center, you can choose direct connect. Now, then fifth thing is come to the part that is the define security. Here, IAM is for authentication and authorization, KMS is for data encryption, and Cognito is for both things. Now the next part, that is define management and process tools. By using CloudWatch, auto-scaling, and CloudFormation, you can manage or process, or you can automate your system. That means there are variety of management and processing systems available with you, and you have to pick the particular, I mean the peculiar one after knowing the purpose for it. Now the thing come to your point, that is testing the process. You have done all this with all these things. Now you have to test your thing, test your code, test your the language. So what you can do is that you can use Coaster, code build, code pipeline to test this process. Similarly, after testing, you can analyze your data using Athena, EMR, Cloud Search. So these are the kind of defined type of thing. For example, EMR provides you the machine learning approach, Athena gives you the statistical analysis approach, and so on. So these are all about the different kind of cloud computing formation that you have to know before automate your system using a cloud computing. Now coming to the cloud computing architecture, it is very easy. So in cloud computing architecture, you have two things. First one is the front end and second one is the back end. In front end, you don't have to understand anything. That is the what you are seeing, the what the user is seeing. That is the front end. The back end, you have management, security, and inside that there are different application, service, and storages. So coming to the management part, so if before going to the management part, I want to discuss more about the front end. This front end provides applications and the interfaces that are required for cloud-based services. These applications are web browsers such as Google Chrome and Internet Explorer. It also includes client and mobile devices. So on the other hand, in backend, it manages all the programs that run the application on front end. And it also has a large number of data storage system and the servers. So now coming to the backend, and typically different application. This application, it can be also software or a platform. Based on the requirement, the application provides output to the end user in the backend. Now coming to the service, it is one of the most important component of this cloud. Its task is to provide utility in the architecture. This is the backbone of the architecture. Few services that are widely used among the end user are storage, application development environment, and web service. Now coming to the storage part, it maintains and manages all the data over the internet. For example, Amazon S3, Oracle Cloud Storage, and Microsoft Azure Storage are the example of storage. Now coming to the management part, it allocates specific resources to a specific task. Also, it handles function of cloud environment. It also helps the management of components like application, task, security, service, data infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, and many more. Now, if coming to the security aspect, security is an integral part of the cloud infrastructure. It helps in protecting cloud resources, systems, file, and infrastructure. Now, I want to discuss little more detail about the cloud computing architecture. That is what are the components of the cloud computing architecture. Here it is as follows, like hypervisor, management software, development software, network, cloud server, and cloud storage. So what is hypervisor? Hypervisor is a virtual operating platform for every user. It runs a several virtual machine on the back end, which consists of software and hardware. Next, management software. It's responsible for to manage the monitor, to manage as well as to monitor the cloud operation. It helps in improving performance of the cloud. For example, high security, flexibility, full-time access, etc. Coming to the development software, it consists mandatory installation and configuration required to run the cloud service. And this includes SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. Next is the network. It connects the front end and the back end. This is a bridging material, bridging things, bridging between back end and the front end. Now, cloud storage, I have already discussed that is kind of every data, that has to be stored so over internet, and that can be accessed anywhere from the world. Now, lots about enough about the theory. Let's talk about some example. The example of how to use the EC2 and S3. So let's take an example. Some two guys are have a conversation, and someone asks have a problem and asks the solution for it to his friend. The man asks, I have an application which takes a lot of storage and works only in the Linux system, which I don't have right now. So now his friend replied that you don't have to bother about it. Use the EC2 for the instance and S3 for the storage. So the first man didn't know about EC2 and the S3. So he asked, what is AWS EC2 and S3? Now I will going to describe you what is EC2 and S3. EC2 is kind of instant and S3 is the storage which is provided by the AWS. So if you want to use the EC2 and S3 AWS, so what you have to do, first you have to create a AWS account, then create a AWS S3 bucket, then upload your files in the bucket. Then what you will have to do, create an EC2 instance and then synchronize the AWS S3 and bucket and AWS EC2. I will give you the detailed video about that, how to create, how to launch your website, or how to create a virtual server, or how to create a newsletter by using the cloud computing. Now let's talk. I want to talk 5 more minutes on the EC2 and S3. So EC2 is a kind of thing. For example, you have a laptop or computer. So there you have two things. One is the hardware and one is the software. So EC2 is kind of software. So by using the EC2 instance in AWS, you can compute, you can storage. Storage means this is a kind of cache storage or long storage, and you have the database. You can make a database. You can use security tools, media service, and lots of things are there in the EC2. So EC2 is a web service which aims to make life easier for developers by providing secure and realizable compute capacity in the cloud. You can scale up and scale down this EC2. If you need to scale up, you can scale up, pay more, and if you want to scale down, you can pay less. So let's talk about an example, that is notifying a user about a newsletter. So once again, you have to create a AWS account, then set up the EC2 instance. There you have to keep in mind some important thing. That is, first you have to choose the AMI. AMI is the Amazon Machine Email. Then choose the instance type. Instance type is kind of here. I told you that is the example, the EC2. Then configure the instance. Then you have a storage. If you want the additional storage, use it. The storage is here S3. Then add the tag. Then configure the security and review it. This is the process for making any kind of services in the cloud. It may be newsletter, it may be formation of virtual cloud computing, it may be formation of your, hosting of your own website, or many more. So I'm quickly go through these things. So first, an Amazon image, you have to template it to create the new instance. Then this Amazon image are kind of for the theoretical study, that is two types, the predefined AMI and the custom AMIs. Okay, so predefined AMIs are created by the Amazon and can be modified by the user, and the custom AMIs are created by the user, so that can be reused. Then coming to the instance, an instance type specifies the hardware specification that are required in the machine from the previous step. So this hardware specification can be 5 types. For first one is the compute optimized. That means an instance type specifies the hardware specification that are required in the machine from the previous step. That is the AMI. The next one is the memory optimized. This is an instance type, specifies the hardware specification also that is required for the AMI. Next one is the GPU optimized. GPU, you know that is the graphical processing unit. So suppose for example, if you need a gaming software development, you need a additional GPU. So you can use the GPU optimized instance. So you can use the storage optimized. So you don't want to pay more for the storage. So you can use the storage optimized instance. Now, last thing, that is the general purpose. General purpose means you don't know what is optimized. You don't know what should be. You don't know the application environment. You don't know the outcome of the environment. So you don't know everything what can be optimized. So just choose general purpose. So important thing is that instance types are fixed and their configuration cannot be altered. And we have 5 instance types: compute optimized, memory optimized, storage optimized, and the general purpose. Now we know the different instance and we have chosen the instances depending upon our need. So then you have to configure the instance. So you have to specify the number of instance, purchasing options. That means you want to pay for monthly, yearly, or anything else. And the kind of network you are using, the subnet. And if you need a public IP, you can ask for it. And if you want different administrative behavior or administrative role you have, or you want to give some access to in this configure instance, what you are configuring is that the number of user, number of administrator, number of the purchasing options, and the IP address. Okay. Now coming to the storage, next part, that is there are also different type of storage are available, but most popular storage is the Amazon S3. This Amazon S3 can give you 30 gigabyte of storage for free use for 1 year. There are also another storage are there like Amazon Elastic Block Store. This is the permanent storage and you have to pay for it for this permanent storage. Now that coming to the adding a tag adding a tag is very important, because if you are working in a company and you are using cloud computing platform, so and you have lots of operation to do, so adding a tag is very important. For example, there are lots of operations are going on in the in the industry, so which operation you want to select, so for that purpose adding a tag is very necessary. Then we need to configure security groups. Security groups means different security protocols are there. I don't want to discuss about that. So just you have to, label, there are different level of securities are there. So according to your budget, you can choose the security. And last, review it, all the things, and launch the instance. So coming back to the once again the newsletter part. So create an AWS account, set up the EC2 instance. EC2, that is the platform you want. Go to the SNS simple notification survey and create a topic what you want to share. Then make sure the topic is made public. Then add subscribers. That means to whom you want to notify it. Then create a bucket in S3, that is bucket means create a storage. Then set an event in S3 relating with it SNS, simple notification service, and synchronize the S3 bucket and AWS instance, that is EC2 with the S3. So about our today's lecture. So we learned what is cloud computing, the different types of cloud computing, examples for the different types of cloud computing service providers like Amazon AWS. Then we have understand the life cycle of the cloud computing solution and its architecture, and we are ending up with a demo of EC2 and S3 of AWS, how to create a cloud server or virtual cloud server or newsletter, or how to host a website. So this is a very kind of theoretical thing. You can also go through the different YouTube videos which are explaining how to create your clouds, how to create your newsletter, and many more. If you have an interest on it, you can go through it. But thing is that there are several types of technical terms are there. But if you understand one type of cloud computing architecture very well, you can easily understand the other thing. Okay. So that's why I am giving you an example with AWS Amazon platform. So that's it all about our today's class. So do you want to ask any question? Or do you want to see any example how to create a AWS AWS account to host a website or create a virtual server?
Examples, sir?
Hello, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes.
what example you're telling about?
Yes, sample I am telling about, that is, do you want to see any sample how to create a cloud computing platform to host your website, or to make a newsletter, or to make a virtual server?
Yes, sir. Where we can find those?
I can show you. I have one video for it.
Yes, sir, sure.
So what you want to see for create AWS server or host a website?
Host a website, sir.
Host a website. Okay, fine.
Website on your Telegram.
Just wait for a minute.
Your own website. Hello guys, in this video I'll be showing you how to host your own website on your EC2 server. So I have my website folder and the files on my local computer, which is right here. And when I open that folder, I have my index and all the CSS, JS, and files that goes with this website. So I'll just launch this website now just for you to see. And you can tell that I'm launching it from my local because it's showing the address over here. So now I want to get all these files on my EC2 server to be able to launch it. I downloaded this just to give him credit. I downloaded this website from this guy's webpage. He has a bunch of websites over here that you can use as an example to follow along. I'll include the link to his website on the description so you can go download any of this template just to follow on with this example. So I have my website folder here with all my files in it. The first step I need to do is zip this file. So this zip this folder. So I'm going to click send to zip and zip it. So now I have my zip folder in here. So just I want you to take notice of something. When I click on my zip folder, notice that I have another folder in there which is called velocity. And in there is where, in that velocity folder is where my files are located. So we have two folders. So we have one which is the zip and another one which is the main folder. So just keep that in mind. Also, the next thing we are going to do is go into the management console and under service S3. Then we are going to create a bucket and upload that zip folder into that bucket. So click create a bucket and I'm just going to give it a name, my web server 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I just create any name, web server 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All my settings is going to be default, so I'm just going to click create. So I leave it on that region and click create. So I have my web server bucket. So open that bucket and I'm going to upload my zip folder into it. So select my velocity zip folder and open and upload. So I've uploaded into it. The next thing we have to do is make that bucket and the object in the bucket public. So go back to my bucket, select it over here, public, edit public access setting, click that. make sure this is on check. Click save over here, and in here type confirm. Click OK. So the next thing we are going to do is go into that bucket, click the velocity, and open. Click it, not open, but on that action, you want to click make public and click confirm here. And we've made it public, and we can tell that it is public because when we open it, and when I click open, it's downloading to my local computer. So that means that object, that folder is public. Good. So that's the first step. So the next step is we want to launch our EC2 instance. So we'll go to service, under compute EC2, and running, I'm just going to launch an instance. And I'm just going to select the Amazon Linux 2 and T2 Micro. So everything is going to be default. So just click next, add dash storage. For the tag, we can just add a name, and I'll call it Velocity, and create my security group. So for the security group, I already have an existing one, but we can create a new one. So the first one we need is an SSH. So that is already created for us. The next one we need is we can add a HTTP. So HTTP, and we can add it from, our source can be IPv4 and IPv6. So we'll leave it as that and click launch, review and launch, review everything, launch, choose a key pair. So I already have a key pair. I'll choose the existing one and launch my instance. So I'll wait for my instance to launch. Then we can move on to the next step. So now that our EC2 instance is running, first thing we need to do is select it, and under the IPv4 public IP, copy your IP address, your public IP address, into your clipboard. And the next thing we need to do is SSH into our EC2 instance. So I'm using Windows, and I'm going to use PuTTY. So I have PuTTY open. The first thing I would do is under the session, type in EC2 -user at, and paste your public IP address that you copy in there. And let me change my font so everything is bigger. So in here, you can pick which fonts you want. You can print the font type. And I'm just going to increase it to 14 so you can see it clearer on the screen, and click OK. Then under SSH, click SSH, click the drop down, and under the auth, I'm going to browse to where I save my key pair. So I'm going to select this key pair because you can see this is the same key pair that I'm using for my EC2 instance. Open it just to show you everything is complete. So we have EC2 user at our public IP address. We already added our key pair, and click open. Get this option, click yes. So now I am in my EC2 instance. So the first thing I will do is type sudo su, and that would change it to root. The next thing I would do is update my EC2 instance. So I click type in yum update -y, click enter, and that's going to install the patches and update my EC2 instance. Let me increase this so you can see it. And once that is completed, then we can move on. Just give it a second. Good, that's complete. So I can clear my screen. So I type in clear to clear my screen. The next thing we are going to do is install Apache. So we would type in yum install httpd -y, and type enter, and that's installing Apache. And now to know what directory you are in, you can type in pwd, and that's telling you that you are in the home EC2 user directory. So to change directory, you use the cd command. So to go into our var directory, all we have to do is type in cd. Cd stands for change directory. Cd var slash /HTML. So now we are in this directory. And when I type in ls, just to show what's in the directory is empty. So make sure you are in your var.html directory. And type in ls, there's nothing in there. And now what we have to do now is copy the zip folder for our website that is on our S3 bucket into our EC2 instance. To do that, you type in w get space, then go back to your management console, and I'm going to open this on a new tab, and I will go to my S3 bucket and open that bucket, open that folder. So just copy the object URL over here. So select it and click copy. Then I'll go back into body. And so type in wget space and paste that object URL in here and click enter. And that has downloaded the zip file. So the next thing we want to do, if I type in ls, you can see the velocity zip file in there. The next thing I want to do is unzip this zip file so that we can access the files in it. So to unzip it, all you type is unzip. Then you type the folder name. So we type velocity, and mine has a capital letter, so you have to type it exactly how it is. Velocity dot zip. So that's what you type. Whatever your folder name is, you type everything. Whatever this red thing is, that's what you type here. So we'll type that and click enter. And now it has unzipped our file, and you can see all the files in our folder here. So we can type in ls, and we can see the unzip one over here. So the next thing we need to do is move all the files that are in that zip files subfolder into our var directory. So I hope that makes sense. So if I go back to my desktop just to show you what I mean. So we have this zip folder. When I click it, there is this folder in there, and this folder is the same as this blue one. So now the files we are trying to get to is in that folder. So that's the next step we are trying to do. So we are trying to move all this file into our var directory. So to do that, all you have to do is type in mv space, then the velocity with the capital V. I'm going to type the word as it is on the screen. I'm making a mistake over there. Velocity, and I'm going to press my /. Then I'm going to press this sign that looks like the multiplication sign, space, and dot, and press enter. And now when I type in ls, now you can see those files are in our directory. That's exactly what you want. So you want your HTML and all the files that comes with it in that directory. So with that is everything. The next thing we need to do, and if we want to check out the directory we are in, we can type in pwd, and you can see we are in our var.html and our file is in that directory. So the next thing we need to do is just start HTTPD. So we type in service, HTTPD, start, and press enter. So we'll start our Apache. So now when we go into our EC2 instance and copy that IPv4 IP, public IP address copy, and I'm just going to close this list, open back up another tab, paste it in there, and press enter, and you can see our website. And it's working properly, everything is working fine. That is how you host your own website with all the folders on your EC2 instance. I hope you find it helpful. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one as I learn more. Thank you.
So that is a kind of GitHub video. So if you understand that thing, I think it is not very difficult to host a website. Although it looks difficult, but if you go through the once again this lecture, it will be easier for you to choose the EC2 or S3 buckets, because main things are all these cloud servers. For the starting with, you have to understand the EC2 instance and the S3 bucket. Okay, so
Yes,
these
sir.
are all about, yes.
No, sir. Understood, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will meet again this Friday during the scheduled time, that is 8 a.m. to the 9 a.m. Yes,
Well, the schedule time is 7:30 to 8:30.
8:30. Okay, then 8:30 to 9:30.
Yes, 7:30.
Yes,
It is from 7:30 to 8:30.
7:30 to 8:30.
Yes, sir. If you're not okay, 8 to 9 is also.
Okay, fine. So let's start with 8 to 9.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.